Welcome back to part 4, how to sustainably build a business in the professional speaking world. And hello and welcome back, Chris Davidson.
Thank you, Niels. Thank you.
So now we talked about opacity. We went through that. Now we have our systems in place with system engagement. Then we have our communities in place. So we have community engagement. And now we talk about alignment. And the first part of this kind of alignment is market alignment. What does it actually mean?
Yeah, so the first thing you notice is the subtle change in words there from engagement to alignment.
Yeah.
And it's as if the pair of us were having a conversation over a table. Mm-hmm. And in engagement, we're sitting on opposite sides of the table and we're having a friendly conversation in the sense that you and I are doing that now. But in alignment, I get out of my seat, I pick my chair up, I come round and I sit on your side of the table.
Mm-hmm. So how?
That's how you sort of envisage it. Now, what? Of course, the question is, what does it actually mean? But
exactly.
in terms of giving people a vision of that. So, in terms of aligning with the market, the purpose of market alignment, and it is a subtle point, this, but if you get these points that we're going to talk about in market alignment and then later on in client alignment, this is the big dividing line between making money and not.
Oh, so here's the important one.
Here's the
show me the money, Chris. Show me the money.
Here's the important bit. You can get stuck in opacity. You can get stuck in system engagement. And you can get stuck to a certain extent in community engagement as well. And breaking out of community engagement into market alignment is where you start making the money. Mm-hmm. I see lots and lots and lots of consultants, authors, trainers, speakers' websites, ergo businesses also stuck in the kind of system engagement, community engagement landscape, and they never break through into alignment. So what's this all about?
Exactly.
This is all about clearly demonstrating to the marketplace that you are serving that you know them better than they know themselves.
That sounds challenging already. How do I make that happen?
So that has to be done with a shed load of content, examples, case studies illustrating that you really do have insight into their market that they don't have.
So right? How do I get insight? So it sounds a bit like that I am one step ahead of their own thinking, which many people will struggle to admit. And of course, also it's hard to get to that point. So how do I make it happen that they realize that they need, let's say I'm a consultant or a speaker, that they realize I need that person's help?
So first thing is to divide up the market into server, even if you're serving a niche, divide that niche up into smaller areas. So for example, you might divide up it up into an area that dealt with sales professionals, sales managers. You might have another area that wasn't for sales, was for marketing. You might have another area that was actually for business owners of SME owner-led businesses.
Yes,
where they're having to do a lot of the marketing and maybe some of the sales too. And then you might have another area where actually the role was more of a specialist consultant, like you might find in engineering or IT or even legal actually would have specialist consultants, right? So each of these areas, I'm immediately saying, I recognize that these 4 areas, just by way of example, I recognize that these 4 areas exist. And if I'm recognizing that these 4 areas exist and I'm calling them out on my website, and furthermore, I'm asking you, website visitor, to choose which one of these areas you identify with, then I'm suggesting to you that actually I've got some pretty serious content to back up all four of those areas.
Mm-hmm.
So you might come along and you might say, okay, well, yeah, actually, I run my own business. So I'll click on the business owner bit and I'll go in and I'll see what Chris has got to say for owner-led businesses. And you read all that and you think, okay, well, this is pretty sensible. This is making a lot of sense. And you go, I wonder what he actually says to the marketing people. So you go and read what the marketing say to the marketing people. And you say, well, that makes sense too, actually. Now, the interesting point about this is that at the end of the day, guess what? You're selling the same thing. Doesn't have to be a huge difference between what you sell to sales, what you sell to marketing. There might be, but there doesn't have to be, is what I'm saying. But the point is, you are making it clear that you understand their needs and you can satisfy their needs with what you've got. If it so happens that what you've got is the same toolbox, that doesn't really matter. You don't need a different toolbox for each of these people. You just need to be able to fix their problems for them.
Now, of course, some people will claim content is good, left, right, and center. But on the other hand, I don't want to give away my best stuff for free. So how do I solve the dilemma of producing lots of content, but at the same time, not just educating the market without charging for it?
Well, that's a good question. And the answer is that depends what you're selling. Because if you are selling something that really is unique and different, then inevitably you have to end up with a bit of educating the market really to bring them along with you. You know, almost inevitably you're going to end up doing that. But if what you have is a different spin on something, so there's less need to educate the market because the market understands their needs, then what you're doing what you want to do by virtue of example is demonstrate that you clearly understand those needs and you have solved them for other people who are in similar positions. So that's really what market alignment comes down to. It is demonstrating that you are placing yourself in your client's shoes and demonstrating to your clients that you really do know the problems that they are having. Go back for a moment to the last program when we were looking at community engagement.
Yes.
And I called on the example there of Jane Ardern, the dog trainer in the United Kingdom, dog trainer and dog breeder. And I said that one of her successes in her community engagement work was in that she demonstrated through her social media engagement, she demonstrated to dog owners and the like that she was a very real human being and she understood the problems that they have with their dogs because she just openly demonstrated it. Here's another video of my dog that should be behaving itself and it's not, and all this kind of stuff. Funny, charming and what have you, but allows people to say, my dog does that.
Yeah.
My dog does that. And then Jane talks about how you stop your dog doing that. Well, who are you going to ring?
Yeah.
Who are you going to ring? Yeah. So it's inviting people to really come closer to you or you going closer to them. As I say, you're sitting on the same side of the table now and you're saying, I understand this. Let me show you what I did for some other people who had similar problems.
And of course, there's always, yes.
Well, I was just going to say, so the point is about this, the subtle point about this is that it's not a product-led approach. That's the point. It's a client-led approach. It's a market-led approach, which is why I call it market alignment. If you go to many consultants, trainers, speakers' websites, you'll see in the navigation, here are the workshops I provide. Here are the books I've written, whatever. Here's the keynote I deliver.
That, of course,
That's all about product. That's about stuff that is delivered. Well, I'm not really interested in that. I want to know that you understand me.
Excellent. So because that nearly answered my questions already, because my question, of course, would be when I show these problems, when do I mention the product? Do you think that I shouldn't mention it at all, because people will get that they need my help when I show enough of understanding for their situation?
Well, it's nice if they ask, isn't it?
Yes, of course.
So how can you help me? How can you help me, Niels? Yes. And then all you're talking about really is immediately into the benefit of what you deliver. You haven't even mentioned the name of any product yet. Right? The name of the product is the name of the product only becomes relevant in my view when people look at it and they sort of recognize the words. They think they know what those words mean, so it kind of makes sense. It doesn't completely make sense, but they know they really want it. So the Speakers Worldwide Digital Footprint Survey.
Yes.
You kind of intuitively half understand exactly what it is, but you're not quite sure what it is, but it does sound really quite good and quite meaty. So it's that kind of product names like that lead people to go, I don't know what that is, but I think I want that.
Yeah.
That's what the product name has to solicit. I don't know what that is, but I'm pretty sure I want that.
Yeah.
And then you're into getting all the okay, now prove it to me kind of process. Yeah.
And of course, as soon as people approach you and say, I want that, this puts you into a way better position when it comes to potential negotiations about pricing and fees, etc., especially for the consultants and speakers who listen to this right now.
Correct.
Excellent. So, of course, I'm going to put Chris' contact data in the show notes of this podcast. So when you have any additional aspects you like to talk about with Chris or work together with Chris, which I can highly recommend you find his contact data in the show notes. And we're going to have the big final part 5 talking about client engagement in our next part. So for today, Chris, I can only say thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thank you.